Hello, hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome to the intuitive card reading for, for the week of July 27th through August 2nd. All right, I almost lost it for a second. I had to think for a second, guys. All right, so you guys know what the drill is. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Please share this video with anybody that needs to hear the energies and influences of the week. This is the last week into July, going into August. So that means that I will be having a August monthly video out for you as well. Hopefully published right before August 1st. What else? What other announcements? Comments down below. I love comments. Just be kind is all I ask. But yeah, I think that's it. Let's just jump right into it, guys. I have everything shuffled. You guys are familiar with these 3 decks. So let's get into it. What does our soul need? To the sea. This means that we need alignment. We need smooth sailing. We need everything to be more in flow. And hopefully it is. Hopefully this is a foreshadowing that the rest of the month will be that way. But it's basically our soul really needs that. So maybe we've been forcing things, going against the grain, trying to really make something work, and our soul is like really tired, right? That's why this is kind of coming up. So we need things to be a little bit more in alignment for us. And again, hopefully it is. So let's keep going to see if we have any indication that it will be. Okay, we have angel in the shadow, acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic. Okay, action needed. We have the angel in the shadow. All right, so this is basically saying that we need to... wow, some tough love right off the bat here. All right, so I'm just going to say it. So basically, Spirit is asking for us to look at more of our shadow side of, you know, maybe we're not as innocent as we think we are. And what I mean by this is like maybe we have some kind of part in some kind of situation that's been plaguing us, that's been bothering us, that's been kind of going on in our lives. You know, side note, you guys know I don't do the victim blaming here, but sometimes there are particular situations. Okay, we're not talking about being victims of crimes or victims, you know, of abuse and things like that. We're talking about maybe an argument with someone or something like that. So this is saying that we really need to take accountability for it, to apologize to someone, to look at that part of ourselves that maybe we don't want to look at because it's not favorable. And trust me, I get it. Nobody wants to hear those things about themselves or face those things about themselves, but you know, that's what we do here. You know, we look at our shadow side as well as our light side, and yeah, we own it. Basically, we own it and we apologize and whatever we need to do. So, guys, some of us might need some apologizing. Can it be reversed? Can it be the other way around? I'm not feeling it particularly. Maybe some of you guys out there in the collective, because I am reading for the collective, so there's a lot of you guys I'm reading for. Maybe some of you will be getting apologies from people that have realized their end of the, you know, their side of the street and actually owning up to it. Maybe some of you guys, but it definitely feels like it's more focused on us. So yeah, there's something where we gotta take accountability for something. You know, we're not as innocent as we portray ourselves to be, and not like on purpose. You know, I know the card talks a little bit about like misleading others and that kind of thing, but don't take it quite literally. We're talking about energy here, you know. You know, it could be just unconscious behavior, or it didn't click for us how, you know, we participated in the toxicity or the situation or whatever it is. So, all right, interesting one. All right, issue. What do we have issues with? Snakes. Oh gosh, could this be literal? Can there be people out there that are having issues with snakes? Maybe them in their, you know, snakes in your garden or something. Maybe. I never rule it out. But snake, I think it's more so the representation of what the snake, the symbolism of the snake, which is always they shed skin. So basically it's about a new version of ourselves. And so it's under issue. So it's saying that maybe we're having an issue with seeing, you know, embodying this new version of ourselves. Maybe you feel really uncomfortable. Maybe there's feelings of like not even you know, maybe you've been through something and the fog is clearing and now you're like, I don't even know who I am after this situation. You know, I'm a new person. I don't know who I am. Like, I definitely do feel like there's maybe an existential thing going on here. It could also be trying to hold on to maybe an old version of yourself. That could be the issue, because we're not necessarily ready to shed that skin. That could be some of you guys as well. But it just feels like we're having issues being the new person, understanding who the new person is, letting go of the old person. I would say it's identity issues for sure. Is kind of going on here. So that could be a million things. That's interesting. Let's keep going. Challenge. All right, so we always have to get over this hump over here. It's not always the greatest. All right, challenges with community. Okay, so it might even be piggybacking off of what I just said. Like, if you're having identity issues, maybe you don't even know where you belong. Okay, so that's a challenge. So it could be something connected to that. You're having issues and challenges and obstacles when it comes to fitting into a community, maybe finding a community. Could also be you're in a community and something challenging is going on. Maybe people are not getting along. Maybe there's an issue. Maybe you're like part of like maybe there's been like houses on your block in your community that have been, they're getting broken into or something. I hope not, but that could be a challenge, obviously. So something's kind of challenging within the community. Again, could be identity issues within that, but also could be something, like I mentioned, more tangible in your environment, like actually the houses are being broken into, or maybe you have a challenging neighbor. Could also be like another way that this could manifest. And it could be like, it could also be like where you usually find that you fit in, you're starting to not fit in. I just want to add that too. So it could be like a fish out of water situation, like kind of like, you really fit into your old high school and then you like moved and now you don't, fit in at your new high school. It's like, it's kind of like it's like a new environment, new community, and you're used to fitting in. Now you're like not fitting in. Does that make sense? Could be, I don't think there's many high schoolers watching my videos, but if you are, welcome. But could be just even with moving. You used to fit in where you used to live. Now you moved and now you feel like you don't necessarily fit in where you are. Doesn't, it's not a death sentence. It's not going to be always, but that's how you currently feel this week, apparently. So, so interesting stuff there. Nothing you guys can't handle though, right? All right, change. What's changing? Alchemist in the light. Transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. Okay, it's time to be the alchemist. Okay, so this is good here, and this is a really good position to have this, because it's basically saying what has changed you, what has transformed you, is now changing from something that maybe was a burden or put you in survival mode to something that could help you thrive and move forward. So we like that. So it's basically saying your transformation, your the wisdom that you've received from that, now you can go forth and use it and in a different way. Now it's wisdom. Okay, now it's no longer what you're going through, it's wisdom. That's what it's basically saying. Even if you're still physically going through it, it feels like you're almost to the end. But yeah, this is saying like, okay, now you can use this to your advantage, is what this is saying. And so I think it's an excellent position to have that in. All right, what do we focus on? Adaptability. Okay, so focus on being adaptable. Not too much more I can say there. I'll be adaptable, flexible, resilient, all of those things. So, even if things don't go your way, that's your priority this week, is to be adaptable. You can figure it out. All right, reflect. We have clean it up. Okay, so this is about cleaning something up. It kind of has like a little bit of the finish it up kind of energy going on. To me, it's a little bit more, it could be like humility. So maybe reflect on the things in your life that, maybe have made you more humble. That could be it. we can go more grounded on this and say maybe Spirit is asking us to reflect on our ability to clean things up. Could be like reflecting on our cleanliness, how we keep items, how we upkeep items, how we upkeep our home, how we upkeep our style, how we take care of ourselves. Like that, it could definitely be that for sure. And like I said, definitely could be more of the humility aspect, reflecting on the things that have made you humble, especially in the last couple of months, last couple of years. So yeah, a couple ways that this could definitely go for you guys. But yeah, pretty straightforward there. Responsibilities. Oops, I almost pulled two cards here. Okay, we have slave in the shadow, giving your willpower to an external authority out of fear of making your own choices. Okay, so feeling like you don't have freedom somewhere, right? And so it's your responsibility to make sure you don't give up your freedom. That's what it's saying. It's saying it's your responsibility to make sure you don't feel that way. It's your responsibility to turn down opportunities and requests and favors that make you feel that way. We're right next to money, finances, and career. So if you feel like maybe what comes to mind is a job, okay, that's making you feel like you are working 24/7, you don't have a life because of them, and you feel like you're giving all of your power away to this job, all of your energy, all of your resources. It's your responsibility to say you can't do the overtime. It's your responsibility to say, I need more time off, or I can't do this, and maybe start declining certain things. Use your discernment here, use your intuition here, but that's what I'm getting. It could be all areas of life, but yeah, you're feeling like you are a slave to something, but it's your responsibility to start cutting that out. Could this be maybe linked to maybe like addictions and things like that? Possibly. Yeah, potentially, we'll say. But it's more so like where you feel like you don't have freedom, where you feel like you're being made to do something. Because I just mentioned, the job. Some of us, I'm aware that we all need money, and we felt like that in a job before because we are, there's an obvious power dynamic there where they can really make us do anything if we really need the money. And I'm laughing because it's uncomfortable, okay? And that's why unions exist, and that's why we have to have, employment laws and things like that. So, yeah, anyway, capitalism, right? Am I right? So yeah, anyway, yeah, it is your responsibility to stand up to that, and to, do your best and not, try to get some of your freedom back is what Spirit is trying to say here. All right, money, finances, and career. We have radiance. Ooh, I like this one. I think we've had this in this placement for a few times already, so money, finances, and career, we're radiating diamond energy, so we are shining. So we could be outshining other employees. We can be doing a better job than we think that we're doing. We could be, again, we'll go to the literal translation. Maybe you guys are pawning your jewelry this week. Pretty specific, but maybe you're pawning your jewelry and you're getting money for it, okay? Because this is also money, finances, and career, okay? So maybe you are shining in your new role. Maybe somebody notices you this week. Maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a manager. You're doing really well. Maybe you bought a bunch of diamonds and they appreciated in value or something. I don't know. Okay, that's another literal thing. But yeah, you're radiating. It feels good to be in this spot here. Yeah, not too much more I can say there. All right, can we handle surprises this week? Yes, we can, but what's going on? Truth be told. Okay, so we can handle the truth being told to us. We can handle the truth, okay? And it's under surprise, so it's coming out of nowhere. So somebody is going to tell us something that might blow us away, that might shock us, that might be a surprise to us of some kind. We can handle it. but it's really, it feels like it's coming out of the blue because it's under the surprise section here. Yeah, just be ready for some of that truth. That's all I have to say. Could be somebody close to us revealing something to us that we had no idea about. Maybe somebody's been suffering with something that they didn't reveal to you, or a long-standing secret could definitely come out this week, guys. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. So, interesting stuff. Watch out for that. All right, friends, we have knight, loyalty, romance, and chivalry, a love of honor. Okay, so I always think about like the white knight, somebody coming in to save us. You know, it's in the light, so somebody that's loyal, somebody we can count on. So it's a good place to have friends. So somebody really uplifting us, being loyal to us, being kind to us, being generous to us, someone being honorable to us. So yeah, I mean, it's a good friend week. It's really not too much I can say, too much more I can say here. Romantic connection, river flow. Okay, so as I mentioned up there, okay, so finally we're going back to that. So we need to be more in flow. We need to be more in alignment. Our soul is calling us to do so. In what area? Not specified, but here we have romantic connection. So maybe romantic connection, okay? Could be other areas, but definitely in a romantic connection, in our significant others, things are flowing more. Okay, that's a positive thing. So our relationships are getting better. Our romantic relationships are getting better. They feel more in alignment. It feels more so like we aren't fighting anymore. We aren't forcing anything anymore. Okay, so this could mean so many different things. Maybe somebody finally gives up a negative habit, or maybe the therapy that you guys have been going to finally clicks and you guys are finally on the same page about something. You know, whatever it takes, but basically the relationship is flowing like a river, and that's really good. This is really good for my single people. If you want to date, definitely this is a good omen here, because this is saying that things will flow. You will find people more in alignment with you if you decide to jump on the dating apps, or you decide to meet up with somebody or go on a blind date, whatever. The odds are more so in your favor of it being in alignment and flow. So I like that. Good placement. What's important? Okay, we have orphaned. This is always like a dark cloud that comes along, but it's part of life. Orphaned, you guys know, makes you feel, you know, it's the energy of making you feel alone, depressed, unheard, unseen. Yeah, and so it's an important. So basically, it's saying it's important to take care of your mental health. You know, health and wellness here is next, but you know. It's saying take care of your mental health. Take care of that. If you feel lonely, reach out to a friend. Especially reach out to a friend, because, look, this is a good pairing. Okay, so your friends are available for you. Is basically what it's saying. If you need to reach out, so reach out. Obviously, reach out to a therapist, or if you have a parent that is supportive in that way, definitely reach out to them. But reach out to somebody that you love. But it's basically saying it's important to take care of that. If you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling unheard, if you're feeling unseen. I think it could also be part of, like, communicating that to people. Spirit is asking us to communicate that to people. Like, people don't, I just mentioned up here, like, maybe you find out, like, somebody's been suffering with something, maybe they had, like, a miscarriage or something. And, they didn't mention it to you, and that put them in, like, in a dark hole. And it shocks you, and you're wondering why they didn't reach out to you, and you feel terrible they've been going through that. And so Spirit is kind of saying, like, well, it's kind of on you. Like, they didn't, like, what are you, a mind reader? You know what I mean? They're not a mind reader. You have to tell people if you're struggling. Like, that's kind of the message here. So it's important to communicate that. Yeah, okay, hopefully that makes sense. Health and wellness. We have dilettante, shadow, pretension, too much deeper knowledge that you actually possess. Okay, so this is like, this is kind of like a smug attitude. A smug attitude, some arrogance going on here, especially about artistic and creative things. All right, so it's under health and wellness. So this is basically saying, like, this is an interesting one. Don't have a smug attitude when it comes to certain things. you know, if somebody asks for help in health and wellness area, you know, don't be like, oh, you didn't know that? You didn't know that you're supposed to get this amount of protein per day? You know, like things like that. Don't have a smug attitude is what I'm getting from here. You know, help people out. Some people don't know. And I'm guilty of this sometimes. And I've really noticed it in the last 5 years, is I assume people know things when they really don't. And you really shouldn't assume that, right? You shouldn't assume that people know basic things. So, and don't shame them about it or put them down or make them feel stupid or something like that. So yeah, not my finest quality, but this is a good reminder for me personally, but us in general, it's basically saying like, don't do that to other people, especially when it comes to health and wellness. We don't want to be that way towards people. You know, kind of have like that smug attitude, that arrogance, like that kind of thing. All right, overall outcome, what do we got going on? Waves. Okay, so this is basically saying, all right, so things come in waves, so things are ups, things are down, but overall outcome, it feels like maybe things are maybe leveling out. There's some, you know, it's not all down, not all up, but, you know, maybe it's a little bit of a roller coaster of a week. But I have to say, I don't necessarily see any high highs or low lows. It's just, you know, kind of pretty even across the board. But yeah, so it just feels like, you know, maybe Monday and Tuesday are good days, and then Wednesday and Thursday not so much, then Friday and Saturday, you know, that kind of thing. That's what it feels like. It's going to be a little bit of an up and down mood kind of week, and that's okay. Okay, you know, because I see, you know, we go from radiance to orphaned. Okay, these are completely different energies, so I can see what this card is talking about. Things come in waves, and that's okay, right? Okay, what else, guys? I think that's good. You know, overall, I think it's a pretty decent week. Yeah, I have nothing else to say except have a wonderful week. And again, comments down below, guys. I want to see if any of these messages resonate with you as the week goes by. Like I said, I'm just reading these things from an intuitive lens. I don't know if it's landing. Some of these things land with me at the time. Some of them don't. So I would love to hear, you know, what does not from you guys. All right, look out for the monthly and have a good week. Bye, guys.